Good morning and welcome back to the channel. I'm trying out the new toy that arrived yesterday. I'm not talking about the K&F filter that I got. I'm talking about this gimbal. It's an unpronounceable Chinese company's name, and it's a nice piece of kit. And it's quite capable of wandering off my face quite happily as I'm walking along, as it just did. I think I might have caught the button. Anyway, it is holding my little Sony RX100, and it's specifically designed for it. It Wi-Fi connects to it, so I can control the functions, the start and stop of record, take picture, all that sort of stuff, zoom in and zoom out. And it's also got pan, time lapse and a load of other functionality built into it, which will take me weeks to come to terms with. So I thought I'd bring it out with me today on this daily exercise dog walk. We're back in the woods, but it's different woods this time. It's the ones at the top of the hill where I did the fog shoot last weekend. And apart from the fact it's nice and dry and not muddy, because normally it's pretty damn muddy up here, we're hoping to get a picture of the pine trees. There's a particular stand of pine trees here, which I'm hoping, with this low sort of summer or spring early morning light, I can do a low level shot looking straight up, and hopefully the dynamic range won't be too much to spoil the image, and I get sky as well as nice trees. Now, my problem here is that I'm going to have to mount the camera virtually at ground level looking straight up, and I've got the 16 to 35 lens, but how do I take the picture without being in the frame? That's my dilemma. So I'm going to be using my iPhone to control the camera remotely, so I'll go and stand behind a tree out of sight, and let's see if we can get a decent shot. The light's looking really nice, you know, some lovely early morning warm side light on the trees, and hopefully we'll get a picture. Let's see. There aren't many pine trees in this forest actually. Most of them are normal deciduous trees, but these are definitely a stand of pine, deliberately planted I'm sure, and the side lighting from the sun, which is just clearing the trees in the distance, is lighting into the centre of these trees nicely, very nicely. Some silver birch there. Yeah, very, very pretty, very nice. So this is where I'm going to be shooting. So the next thing is to find a location to set the camera up. I'm hoping this new gimbal is ironing out the irregularities nicely, and just walking down this little track here. It's not a very large area, it's probably only about 1.5 acres, 2 acres, but it's up and down. It's got little potholes in it, and a lot of trees. I think this gimbal's doing a nice job. I'm pleased with this. There's the sun peeping through in the distance over there. And there's the panting of the dog, who's been running around like a nitwit, which seems to be his favourite activity. He's probably getting more exercise than I am, because for every 100 yards I walk, he must cover 200 or 300 yards, because he keeps going backwards and forwards. Some nice lighting on the trees, that's what I'm hoping to get. But ultimately what I'm hoping to get is something pointing straight up. And I've got to find a group of trees that come in from all sides, because with the 16 to 35mm lens on, I'm going to have a very wide field of coverage, and I want it to look as if all the trees are converging to a central point directly above the camera. So let's get on with trying to find the trees that will do that for me. Okay, I think I've found the spot that will do as much as I can do. These trees are deliberately planted, so they tend to be pretty much laid out on a sort of almost a grid pattern, so it's reasonably uniform. But where I'm standing at the moment, I think if I get my positioning right, we might well be able to get the shot I'm looking for. So if I give you a little bit of a tip backwards, gently. I think it's this sort of shot that I'm looking at getting with my main camera. Well, I've got the camera set up and I've taken a couple of shots with it already. I think I've got what I wanted actually, but while I'm here, I'll make the most of it. I'll scout around for a couple more places, because actually where I am, I'm so far in the woods that the lighting isn't quite reaching the trunks of the trees here. So what I'm going to do is probably move a little bit further in that general direction, because over there the sun's penetrating into the woods better, and I think the overall image will be nicer. So I'll try and find a similar location, but where the trunks are more highly lit up. It really is quite special here this morning. This light is lovely and warm, and it's just beautifully highlighting and dappling the trunks of the trees. As you can see, if I spin you around very slowly. Well, it's not very slowly, but I'll spin you around anyway. I'm hoping this gimbal is doing a good job. It looks like it is. There we go. That's pretty much all the way around. And then back to my ugly mug here. Yeah, I think there's more potential here actually. There's a couple of very odd shaped trees. There's one directly over my shoulder. Over there, I think it's that one. So wiggly sort of tree there. I think that might actually frame up to be an interesting image on its own. So I'll go over there and have a look at that and see what I can make from that one. Okay, I found another shot. Well, there's hundreds of them here, actually, a spoil for choice. And these lighting conditions are really quite special. The shot I'm interested in is just behind me here, on this side, is a nice tree trunk with lighting it up on the edges, and then into the distance there's a series of other tree trunks going off in that direction, and some nice new growth leaf coming out on one of the lower branches on one of the trees about 60-70 feet away. And I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to pull that together into an interesting shot. We shall see. I shall show you what it is I'm framing up. Got the camera set up, and what I'm trying to do is I'll have to exposure blend this, because there's quite a wide dynamic range from the dark of the trunk in the foreground to the highlights of the sky and the mist in the distance. But I'm thinking I can do that. I've got 20th of a second f/16 because I want to get as much of this in focus as possible. And there you get an idea of what it is I'm trying to achieve. And the wide dynamic range causes a bit of a problem. I might even put the polarizer on, because I think it might actually bring out a bit more colour in the leaves on the branches. So I'll give that a try and see how it goes. And let's hope and keep our fingers crossed, and then on to the next picture. I found something else of interest here. There's a small, I think it's a beech tree. It's only just sprouting out of the ground, and it's in the middle of all these pines, and it's blowing in the wind. There's only a little bit of a breeze blowing, but it's enough to make it move. And under these lighting conditions, I'm not going to be able to freeze the leaves, because unless I go up to ISO 1000 or something, the depth of field I need, the two things are not going to work. So I'm going to end up with motion. So I've decided, instead of being bothered about motion, why don't I actually incorporate the motion? And the way I'm going to do that is by having a long exposure. So I've put, going back to my filters, I've put a 6-stop ND on the camera, and as you can see here, what I'm trying to take a picture of is this, but I deliberately want the leaves to be blurred, and I haven't even focused on this small tree in the foreground. What I've done is I focused on the nearest pine tree just here, and the idea being that what I want to do is have all the leaves blurred for a different effect. So I'm not sure how well this will work. So the shot that I've just taken is this one, and you can see that some of the leaves have moved and therefore are blurry in the image. That's pretty much what I was hoping for, and obviously I've got a bit of vignetting there because I've got 2 filters on the front. I'm at 16mm, so that's cropping the frame very slightly in the corners, but I can deal with that in post-processing. I just crop them out. So that's me done from here. I'm going to wander back, process them, put a video together. Well, never one to let an opportunity go by. I just spotted this single tree, this single birch tree in this little clearing here, and I just pretty much had to have this shot. So I've got the camera set up pointing up quite high at the tree from a low angle. I've got it at 16mm, so it's quite wide, and I'm hoping that this will be a half decent shot. Yes, I couldn't avoid having this one. The side light's just lighting the tree up beautifully, and if I just spin you round again, sun in my eyes, here is the tree over my right shoulder, and it's just set in this little clearing amongst all this dead, oh, what is it, fern, last year's growth of fern, and it's stunning. It's just beautiful. So I've got to have it. Anyway, I've taken the shot already, and you'll see it in a second. It's pretty much a low angle shot looking up at the tree. I've got a polarizer on because it's bringing more blue out in the sky, and it's taking the glare off the trunk a little bit where the sun's directly hitting it. And I've got f16 set, ISO 100, and it's shooting at a 20th of a second, and that's not too bad, I think. I'm just watching the wind. The wind's just blowing the branches slightly, so there might be a bit of blur in that, but I'm hoping not too much, and it won't be too noticeable anyway, hopefully. So onward and upward and back to the house and process these images. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, please give it the thumbs up, and please also subscribe so that you get notified when I upload new videos.